Hi there, so today we're going to talk about multiplication properties. So there are four types of properties for multiplication. The first is the commutative property, the second is the associative property, the third is the multiplicative identity property, and the fourth is the distributive property. So first we're going to start off with the commutative property. The property says that we can swap the numbers and still have the same answer. Now that's not very specific, so I'll start off with an example. Here's a multiplication problem. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. According to the commutative property, if I were to switch the 3 and the 2, I would still get the same answer. So let's try it out. 2 times 3. What is that? Oh yes, that's also 6. So this is how you do the commutative property. You switch around the numbers and you get the same answer. But let's try another example. So what about 4 times 5? That is equal to 20. Now let's switch around the two numbers. 5 times 4. Do we get the same answer? Yes, we do. They are both 20. Now let's move on to the associative property. The property says that changing the grouping of the numbers does not change the answer. Now what does that mean? So let's try an example. Let's use the numbers 2, 3, and 4. So let's start off with 2 times 4 times 3. According to the associative property, if I were to put those parentheses around those two numbers, the answer would be the same. So let's try it out. First, let's find what this answer is. So, 2 times 4 is equal to 8 times 3. What is that equal to? 24. Now let's switch the numbers around and see how it goes. So, 2 times, parentheses, 4 times 3. Now, according to the associative property, even if we change the parentheses location, the answer will not change. So let's try it. 2 times 4 times 3, which is 12, is equal to 24. So we have proven the associative property works. 24 and 24 are equal to each other. Now let's try switching the numbers around one more time. Let's try 3 times 2 in parentheses times 4. So according to the associative property, we've changed the numbers around and they should equal the same answer as the original question. So let's try. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. 6 times 4 is again 24. This is how it works. Next, we're going to talk about the multiplicative identity property. This property says that if you multiply any number by 1, the answer is the first number. So that sounds a little weird, but this is how it works. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. You get the idea. Any number multiplied by 1 is the first number. So next we're going to talk about the distributive property. This property states that multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each addend by the number and then adding the products. So I know that's a lot to take in, so why don't we do an example? So a common example of this would be 3 times 1 plus 2. So if you work it out, it's according to PEMDAS, first you would do what's in the parentheses. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So it would be 3 times 3, which is equal to 9. Okay, so let's follow what the distributive property says. It says that if I were to multiply 3 times 1 and add that to 3 times 2, I would get the same answer as how it is written here. Let's try it out. 3 times 1 plus 3 times 2. So let's try it out. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 3 times 2 is 6. 3 plus 6 is equal to 9. This is how the distributive property works. Let's do another example. Why don't we try 2 times 1 plus 4? So, if we work it out according to PEMDAS, we'll do what's in the parentheses first. 1 plus 4 is 5, and 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, now let's do as a distributive property says. 2 times 1 plus 2 times 4 should equal 10. Now let's work it out. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 2 times 4 is 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. And now you have the 4 multiplication properties. Thanks.